All right, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. We're at Core Resolution Systems. I'm so excited that Alison and Charlene have been able to join me. Alison Emery, she has been my right hand at all of this, really getting the word out about what we're doing here at CRS. And, so I'm grateful to have her on.
Glad to be here.
Charlene is a recent graduate of my Core Resolution Systems reentry program. And so the reason that I have her on today, the reason I have you on today, is because I'm so fucking proud of you. I am so ridiculously proud of you. And there's just something about what has happened in your life and what you've created in your life that I felt really imperative to share with the rest of the world. And so this podcast, this channel is my opportunity to do that. And I'm so grateful for that. And so I'm really lucky that you have been able to, I'm just lucky that I've been able to be a part of that journey and in any way, shape, or form. And so the reason I'm here is because I want to get down to the bottom, get to the core of what it really took, what it really took for you to transform your entire life. Because that's what you've done, just short of, I would say, 10 and a half months? We're going to be celebrating a year of freedom soon because just 10 and a half months ago, you were released from federal prison, correct?
Correct.
And what is your life? So we'll get to that. But
I just want to say it's really impressive to see someone so young.
Yes.
Like grabbing the tail of the tiger and having the world, right there.
How old are you, Charlene?
34.
So you're a woman, you're grown. Right. And
still a young woman.
Still a young woman, but just at that prime opportunity to really step up. I mean, any opportunity, any age is an opportunity. You have the opportunity to step up. But
it's exciting, though, because when they're young, the world is your oyster. You can literally decide the kind of life that you want to have and go get it.
I do have to say, though, I believe that's true for any age. A lot of the women that I work with are around the corner from 60.
Yeah.
And they're recreating their lives and they're starting from scratch and they're building from the bottom up again because they're, without their children are having children, their children are getting married, their children are building lives of their own and they really aren't as needed. And so they don't know who to identify as anymore. So that's a whole nother podcast. I'm excited for that one.
Yeah.
You'll love, I'm going to have Christy on with that one. She's
Perfect.
My huge success story with that one. But Charlene's my success story for literally from rock bottom, right? Like from nothing. You have brought yourself to where, so I want to just share with people that, again, 10 and a half months ago, you were released from prison. What are you experiencing today? What's your life like today, Charlene?
I have inner peace. I don't mind looking at myself in the mirror today. I have goals and ambitions, and life isn't always peaches and cream, as people say. However, I know that if I just push through, that it's going to get better. I work with myself on a daily basis to make sure that my self-care is where I need it to be. Because if I'm not okay in my head, then there's problems.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I feel like the real transformation happens is that relationship with self, right? And so I've watched you shift from, I will say, Chachi, right? Like I remember the day that during our process, because you and I worked together 6 months before release and 6 months after, right? That was the year program that I sponsored you through. And
can I time you out for a minute? Because we're talking about release, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people listening that absolutely have no idea what you're talking about. So could we just maybe talk a little bit about that? Would that be okay?
About release from prison.
Okay, right. Okay,
right. So from prison. So 6 months pre-release, meaning prior to being released back out to society, and then 6 months since your release, you were in a transitional living in the beginning, and then we transitioned you into sober living, which you're about ready to transition out of very soon. And so now today you're getting ready to get your own apartment, right? You're getting ready to, you're in a healthy relationship. You're starting your own business. You're working with your brother. You're back with good members of your family, and so But
so these are amazing things,
Yeah.
like amazing golden things that everybody wants in their lives. But it wasn't always like that for Charlene, was it?
No, right? And so why don't you tell us a little bit about what it was like?
So, growing up, I had a real dysfunctional childhood. I started drinking at a really young age, and just to escape the reality of my childhood, the family dynamics, I would say. And, you know, I thought it was love because that's what my mom always said, like, oh, but he loves me, that's why I'm around. And I knew that that wasn't love. So at a very young age, I started running away from home, and I got involved in like the street life and what they call the game. And I was in and out of institutions my whole life. From the age of 11, I started being arrested. And, you know, I just didn't care. I didn't care who I was hurting. I didn't care who I was affecting, as long as I was okay. I disassociated myself from my family. I went years without talking to them. The only person I stayed in contact was my mom, because at one point she became my best friend. I would know my brothers were coming and I'd leave, you know, very dysfunction, and I was a major part of it. I chose drugs and I chose alcohol and I chose my quote unquote friends and family over my actual family for a really long time. And I've had multiple opportunities. I had clean time through the programs of Narcotics Anonymous, and I gave it away. I had a job. I've had my own house before. But my mindset of not caring led me back to the disease and led me back to the criminal behavior that I was so accustomed to, because it's easier just to do what you know best versus actually striving for something. And I went back in and out of this system for about 5 more years. And my last case, go big or go home, I went to federal prison. Well, during my stint in federal prison, I knew that something had to change within myself. My mom kept getting really sick, and I went through all of my contacts one day and I just deleted everybody. I knew that if I continued to stay in contact with these people in my life, that I wasn't going to be right. And I spent the next few years working on bettering myself.
What did that look like when you were I mean, because you're in prison at this point, you're in federal prison. So what did it actually look like? What did it step by step? What did it take for you?
Yeah, paint a picture for us.
Okay, so I had to fight to get into this substance abuse program. It's called RDAP, and I finally got into RDAP. And one of the key benefits of taking the RDAP program and successfully completing it is you get a year off your sentence. Well, while doing that program and working full time, also taking other classes at the night, I graduated the program and they gave me my new release date. I wasn't ready to come home. And I ran it by my mom, and at this time my mom was still alive. And I ran it by my mom, and she said, that's the smartest thing you've ever said. Because I wasn't okay with self. I still knew if something tragic happened, I would probably go back out. And I ran it by my brother, because he's like my biggest support. And he's what held my family together for many years while I was in my disease, you know. He took care of my mom and he took care of my dad. And he kept me in the loop. And I told him why, and he said that that was a good idea. So I went to the program director and I told him that I wanted to sign out of my time to give him back a year. So that meant I was staying a year more in custody. And so I did that, And they were like, you're making a mistake. I said, well, I never took this program to get the time off. I took this program to fix myself. So I'm not doing the wrong thing. So I passed up a release date that I already had scheduled because I had that time off. And during that time, my mom got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Mm. And her health disintegrated so fast. I dropped out of college because I couldn't deal with it emotionally. And it was just really hard because if I would have taken that year off, I would have been home. But I know if I would have taken that year off and I would have been home, I wouldn't be here today. Mm. And, things weren't always great in there. There's always drama and there's always this. But I really stayed to myself a lot. I started working out and I had lost 60 pounds. And I just did all kinds of things for self-care. And then my mom passed away December of 2017. And I knew that was my rock bottom. Mm. Not being there for my mom, not saying goodbye to her, having my family read her letters for me, having one of my childhood friends go and hug her goodbye for me. Yeah. And I just continued to work on myself and better myself. And I've always told my brother, like, oh, I'm gonna do better, just watch. Mm-hmm. I showed him by my actions, by the things that I was doing. And today I get to live the reward for that.
Absolutely.
So, and a few months after my mom passed, my father passed.
I'm so sorry.
So, and I was still incarcerated for this. Mm. So I had to work through that, and I never actually grieved. Well, today I take grief and loss class for those things, but it's a conscious decision because I don't want to be in those unhealthy relationships that they showed me growing up. And I don't want to live that criminal lifestyle anymore. Like, I don't have time for it.
Amen. Yeah, for sure.
Have
definitely.
Bigger and better things to do.
I got to go. Yeah. And so, I want to touch back, and you were like, I was a part of the game. That's just what I was, that was who I was. And today you're the creator of your own game, right? You've got your own game going on, and you are slaying the game, girl. You are. And it's like working out, self-care, taking time for you, doing all the things, right? And I always tell my clients, I just love it when my clients just do the things. They just do the things. And it didn't just happen, right? It took practice. Like, there were some things we started. So that shortly after that, then you and I connected, right?
Yeah.
And so what was that? So what was your experience from that? Because from my end, right, I get I see a message, an update on Facebook from Charlene's brother. And I see that she's doing amazing, and that if she wants, that if you wanted to reach out to her, this kind of thing. And so I reached out to him, and I was like, do you think that she'd be willing to be, a guinea pig for me? Do you think that she'd be willing to go through this program? Like, a VI, 6 months, all this stuff. I explained to him what's going to happen. And he's like, I don't know, let me reach out to her. And so what happens?
So, and it was pretty ironic because, like, in his post, he said, if you're toxic, don't bother reaching out to her. Pretty much it summed it up. Mm-hmm. And so he tells me Jen was reaching out, and I was all like, oh my God, like, give her my information. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I knew that she was on the right track because she disassociated herself with me when I was in relapse mode. And
boundaries.
So I told him, I was all like, absolutely, give her my number. And he stalked her on Facebook before he even told me about it.
I love it. He checked you out, huh?
Because he wanted to make sure that it was that
she was good people.
Yeah, and that it was a healthy decision. And so,
how wonderful to have a brother that cares that much for you. It's lucky that you have family members like that. A lot of folks don't.
Yeah, and so we started working together. Like, the first few conversations Jen and I had, it was just like conversations, like catching up, me telling her the things that I've done and what I've experienced while being incarcerated this time. And then we started jumping into video sessions because in federal prison we're able to have Skypes.
Nice. I didn't know
So
that.
I every Sunday at 9 a.m. we would have a visit, and she had me dig deep and she had me set goals, and it was pretty ironic because a few months, like right when I moved into the sober living, I found the goals that I had set. And mind you, this is like back in January of last year.
Yeah.
That I had to write these goals.
You found them.
And I found them in September. And I had completed every single goal.
Wow.
Not even realizing that they were my goals. From job to school to moving into an actual real sober living.
Hold on, back up, because actually, I mean, it was from clearing up DMV. Like, we had a DUI we had to deal with. So there was driving school that you had to go to, right? Or not driving school. It was DUI school that you had to go to. So she had to take the bus to everywhere she was going because she got out. She was in. So I'm going to jump us ahead just a little bit. So, so you and I worked together for 6 months. We set these goals, right? And then you are released. Right. And so, but these goals started happening while you were locked up, right? Like, so you were already starting to pay attention to what, like so one of the things, of course, is paying attention to who you're being, right? Well, maybe realizing that every action has a positive intention and checking in on what that intention is, like really checking in with self. So when would you say that really started hitting you?
I would say probably February or March of last year.
Okay.
Because when I started getting those uncomfortable feelings, I was all like, well, why is this? You know what I mean? And I had acquired so many tools from all these classes that I was taking, all these self-help programs, and then the cognitive behavior of the drug program and setting boundaries. And I would sit there and I would analyze things, and people thought I was antisocial or whatever in prison because I was always in my room or I was working out or at school. I didn't socialize because I knew that they weren't fitting my being. They weren't fitting who I was being, and they weren't, I guess, uplifting me in any way. But at the time, I didn't know that that was what it was. It was just my gut telling me what I needed to do. And so, I've done a lot of great things since I've been out of prison, a lot of accomplishments, but I've also had struggles, you know what I mean? And in those struggles just remind me that I'm human, and that it gives me that opportunity to say, make those decisions. Well, I can do this or I can do that, you know what I mean? And I always choose, I have to sit there, and sometimes I call Jen at 9 or 10 at night, oh my gosh. And, but we worked through it today versus the fight or flight mode. And I would just run.
Today you have a foundation. Today you learn how to ground yourself and be steadfast and stop. And, there's something that I work with all the clients on, and this is in all the workshops. It's something it's just step back, let go, say yes. I learned it from the Health Coach Institute. I would totally give them credit for this, but it's definitely something that I've not only integrated into my own life, but my clients' lives. Step back, let go, decide what you want, say yes to that, right? Take action, do it, do the things, and then find a way to be accountable. So for everybody, the goal is find a balance. Do you feel like you found a balance in your life? Like you're seeking that? Like that's something that how do you feel around that in your life right now?
So the last few weeks, I'm not going to talk about the last few weeks, but prior to the, last
No, let's
month,
talk about it. Let's be real. Right now, where we're at right now, the fact is that life is in chaos right now, right? Like all of a sudden, and this is what happens.
Life is
because when all of a sudden it's time to repot the plant, right? You're outgrowing the plant, the planter, right? And so it's time to up level. So when the reason we know it's time to up level is because it's getting uncomfortable.
Sure.
Right? It's getting uncomfortable. And so now guess what's happening? Charlene's about to up level from sober living into her own place. So another level, another devil every time, right?
I wasn't referring to that.
But,
I had the balance of okay, well, these days I'm going to school and these days I'm going to work. Well, at the moment I'm not able to work.
Right. Okay. So the accident.
Yeah.
So you were recently in an accident.
And I'm able to go to school. However, I have to just sit there. I can't be hands-on in the booth.
So how have you been dealing, because of the fact you have to be more stagnant and you've had to switch your game up because you were in an accident, what are some of the tools that you're pulling out of the toolbox in order to get through that without getting stuck in your head?
So I've been connecting with self. I don't go to 12-step meetings on a regular basis because a lot of them are toxic. But I know that working the 12 steps is imperative to me and my sanity. So I've started working the 12 steps again with my old sponsor, and just connecting with healthy individuals,
Right.
Being selective about who is in your inner circle is so crucial.
Yeah.
Right? So very crucial. And you have to listen to that small, still voice, that gut that tells you this is a person that can be trusted, or red flag, this is a person that can't be trusted.
Right.
When you got out of prison and you first started working with Jen, did she have you set a goal right off the bat?
Yeah. So I did quite a few years in prison, and I'm not technology savvy, as people say. I still don't like technology, and so I had filled out these job applications and was having a real hard time doing it. But I didn't want to work. I wanted to go back to school. And so I seen this thing at the transitional living, like Weld Like a Girl. And then it also had like the other classes that they offered. And I was like, okay, like, what would that look like? And so I asked my brother, like, what does he think about me? Because my brother is the only family I really have. I have other siblings, but I'm not in contact with them on a regular basis. And so I asked him, like, what do you think about me going back to school? And he was all like, well, what is it going to be for? And when I told him, he was all like, hell yeah. So, going back to school for somebody, well, I took college courses while I was incarcerated, but going back to school for somebody who hasn't done it in a really long time, I got adjusted really quick, and I started learning right off the bat, which was great. I really enjoy my profession. I like making things that's kind of cool. I just need to get that creativity mindset of...
Yeah, you can do a little artwork with that welding skill.
Yeah. And, it was either going to be welding or cooking, culinary arts. And, Jen helped me find that balance of, okay, well, like, write the pros and cons list of this and write the pros and cons list of that. And, I love to cook, but I think I would have hated to do it on an everyday basis for individuals.
I feel the same way.
Yeah. And
so we really helped. So I'm grateful to hear that we really helped hone you in on what it is that you really wanted and helped you learn how to ask yourself and figure that out for yourself. I think that's so important.
It is.
Yeah, I feel like that's so important. So what are your next goals?
So I'm going to be completing my welding course in the next few weeks. Mm-hmm. And right now I'm off of work. I can't work for a minimum of 3 more weeks. So I've been looking back in, because I'm only 4 classes away from getting my business certificate. So, to have that certificate and my certifications from welding, the possibilities are endless.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And my next goals are to finish my business certificate and start my business license. And that's going to be within the next year.
Easy. Yeah, absolutely. Easy, for sure. I'm so excited for you, sweetheart. And I'm really looking forward to being able to keep up on your journey with you and have you back on and have you be able to really share with us what the journey is like. I feel like
I'd like to hear more about what it was like working with a coach for Life Matters. So many of us are struggling through it without any support or help. So it's interesting because,
when I first started becoming a coach, they wanted me to find a niche, right? They wanted me to find out who do I work with? And the truth was I wanted to work with everyone from the accomplished CEO who's running multiple businesses, who doesn't have time for herself, who doesn't know how to keep herself in check, who needs to learn how to build her own foundation and build her own and learn how to stand her ground and take care of herself first so that she could be the best CEO and best or the best employee or the best mother or the best whatever she was trying to be. For you, for me, that all stems from me going to prison, right? I went to prison. I had to learn how to re-ground myself. I had to learn how to introduce myself to myself. And so I wanted to create a program that helped women and men, people, individuals reintroduce themselves to themselves, learn who they are, dig deep, find out what it is they want from themselves, even if they can want one thing at 20 and want a completely different thing
Absolutely,
at 50.
yes.
And so we can re-identify with ourselves at any given time. And so I love being a consultant. I love being a consultant and saying, this is a great idea and you should do this and you should do this and you should eat this way and you should work out this way and you should have this kind of life. But the truth is that's not for me, right? Like being a coach, I get to find out who that is for you. I help you find who that is for you. And so I want to know what that has been like for you.
So, I didn't know who I was. I knew who Chachi was. You know what I mean? And Chachi is an individual that I don't even identify as anymore. She was a criminal. She was a thug. She was a drug addict. She wasn't loving, you know what I mean? And I think it was like 3 months into working with Jen. I told her, I said, I'm not Chachi anymore. I'm Charlene today. And
that's really powerful.
Yeah. And I think she started to cry when I told her that.
I cry all the time, okay? You guys, feelings are real and I've learned how to identify with them. A lot of them involve tears. I'm okay with that.
Isn't that beautiful?
I think it's amazing.
So, she helped me learn who I really am. Like I've started doing all the work myself, but like asking what ifs or whys or all of those questions. And I say what ifs and whys because, it could be about any one topic, you know what I mean? And what if you did it this way? Or what if you did it that way? Or why are you doing it this way? You know what I mean? Like asking those questions got to the core of me being who I am today. And, it's really awesome because not only am I a productive member of society today, but I'm also a role model to several individuals.
Oh, wow. How does that feel? How does that feel? You're a role model.
Yeah.
Wow.
And people see what I have, and I don't mean materialistically, I mean spiritually and emotionally, and how I'm always okay with self. And they ask, well, what do you do? You know what I mean? And they seek suggestions from me. And that's really inspiring, really, really inspiring. And I thank it all to you.
Oh gosh. Sweetheart, like I said before, I think something that's really important I'm gonna wrap this up because I want people to tune in for the next one, right? I want people to subscribe. I want people to come back and see and follow you on your journey, because it is all on you. Like, this is yours. This is your journey. This is an experience that you've created. This is a life you've created. All I've done is hold up a mirror. All I've done is hold the space open for you. And so I think that that's really something that I want people to be able to identify with, is that you deserve your space, right? You deserve to know what your space looks like, feels like, and you deserve to be able to create that for yourself. No matter what. Regardless of what was, we get to create what is and what will be.
Right.
Right? And so with that, Alison, thank you so much I love having you
so
on.
Welcome.
You definitely help complete this podcast because
Glad to be here.
You definitely fill in where I am missing. And Charlene, I know there's so much more that I want to dig out of you for this. So I'm going to bring you back on in just the next few weeks. And I hope you're good
for
with
an
that.
update.
Well, my schedule's pretty clear.
Sounds good. All right, before you go back to work, for sure. Thank you so much, sweetheart. I'm so glad. I'm so proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing, and we'll have you back soon.
Yeah, absolutely amazing.
Thanks.
Great. Woohoo.
Yay. Sorry about that. I was trying so hard. I was like, she's coming, and I'm trying to respond to the watch. Don't come in. I'll text you. I'm like, oh my God.